All right, I think we are live. So welcome everyone. Happy Friday the 13th, Friday night, the day before Thanksgiving, or I'm sorry, Valentine's. I'm still in the holiday mood, just thinking of what we've already been through. I can't believe it's already February and that we're past January, halfway through February. I mean, it feels like the holidays were just here. But I'm excited to talk to you all again tonight. So I see some hellos in the chats from a lot of different areas, so be sure you let us know where you're watching from. It's always super cool to see all the different locations: Spain, Portugal. It's just fantastic. It's super cool. Canada in the house tonight. Welcome, Canada. Um, got some exciting things to talk about tonight. I'm excited to talk about this apparel printer. It's been a phenomenal machine for me, and so I'm excited to share my experiences with it, and then take some questions towards the end. Uh, I do want to kind of start things off just letting you know that there are a couple of coupon codes available for tonight. Um, these will actually stack on the current Valentine's Day sale that Xtool has going on. So if you are in the US, the Jesse 50, that $50 off, and then Canada elsewhere is the $70 off. So that's Jesse 70. So use Jesse 50 in the US, Jesse 70 Canada, and you will be able to use those coupon codes to stack on top of the existing sale price for the Valentine's sale today. So be sure you take advantage of those. We'll leave that down at the bottom so you can see it throughout the whole time. All right. We're here to talk about seasonal holidays. Valentine's Day, like I said, is tomorrow. Spring is a heavy time of year for these seasonal holidays, these things like St. Patrick's Day, Easter, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Independence Day in the US. There's a lot of things going on in the spring, and if you are doing apparel decoration and you're considering getting something like the apparel printer and getting deeper into DTF printing, this is a great time of year to take advantage of these seasonal holidays. Um, I'm going to tell you that seasonal holidays are what I would call a revenue window. These are not random interruptions. You know these are coming along. They don't sneak up on you. They're always on the calendar every year. And so you should be prepared for those. Like I said, Valentine's Day being tomorrow, um, it's you've missed that. It's if you've not already prepared for that, you've missed it. So let's look forward to the next one. But the key is these happen every year, and they happen all throughout the year. So we can always look for opportunities to do this. Sometimes it's just seasonal in the sense of time of year, summer, outdoor events, outdoor camping and hiking and things like that. But these are an opportunity for print shops to truly take advantage of what I'm going to call last minute orders. So if you see behind me, I've got my print shop here. So let's maybe start there and just say little introduction to myself. If you don't know me, my name is Jesse. I do have a print shop. I do a lot of screen printing. Also, obviously, do DTF printing and print on apparel as well. So I've been in the screen print industry since 2013. Started managing or helping manage a print shop. Did all the artwork, managed the production team. Ended up running all the day-to-day operations there before I moved from Tennessee to Colorado. Started my own shop in 2017 and have been running what you see behind me ever since. My shop is called Alpine Apparel Co. I print mostly water-based ink in addition to the DTF stuff. So what I'm going to talk about is day-to-day here for me. I run this as a side gig because that's the way I prefer for it to be. But this is what I do on a daily basis. I've got a stack of sweatshirts right here for a customer. I've got boxes back behind me here of more apparel and more stacked up back there. So the production constraints that I talk about tonight are real life. These are things that I experience on a day-to-day basis. So if you haven't followed me on YouTube, my channel is called Startup Screen Printing. I also run a community called Screen Print Collective and another community on Discord called the Print Crew. But just deep into the screen print community and apparel. And I was, more than excited to get my hands on this apparel printer. I got it back in October, and I've been running it in my business to generate income and fulfill customer orders since really within a few days of getting the thing set up. And so it has worked very well for me. But let's talk about why this printer and the seasonal holidays matter tonight. Um, One thing that I care about when I'm helping other print shops set up operations and systems and learn how to run their business, one thing I care about is profitability. If you're not profitable, then you're going to struggle to grow and to scale and to have a business that sustains and lasts. And what I love so much about DTF in general is that profitability can generally be high because people are willing to pay a lot more for a special customized item that's maybe a one or two quantity, low quantities, but that presents a problem. We get into screen printing stuff, which is built for mass quantities, high quantity orders. Typically, you'll find a minimum. My minimum with my shop is 20. So I don't screen print it unless we're doing 20 items of the same. A lot of the bigger shops will do more like 50. Um, and so for seasonal orders and things like these seasonal holidays we're talking about, that could present a problem. Not everybody wants 20 or 50 Mother's Day shirts or even Valentine's Day shirts, or maybe they're wanting, I just one shirt customized for their special Valentine. Um, so they're typically small, and that's not always easy for a screen print shop to handle. And so DTF entering the picture, especially the Xtool Apparel Printer entering the picture and being able to print on location just one uh, just one transfer uh, presents a huge opportunity for increased profitability and saying yes to more orders for a print shop. But the other thing about these seasonal holiday orders is even though we know they're coming, I just mentioned these don't sneak up on you, they do sneak up on customers. And so they'll come up with an idea when the holiday's getting closer, and they'll say, "Oh, we should do Mother's Day shirts for all the mothers, or we should do Valentine's Day shirt for my girlfriend or boyfriend or significant other or whatever." And so they're within days of the event, of the day itself, they're looking around at other print shops and saying, "Who can do this shirt for me?" I see it all the time on Facebook and local communities. Most local communities have a local Facebook page. Most of them will have a local like craft or handmade or local made page. And so you get involved in those pages. Just about every seasonal holiday coming up, you will see a post on there that says, "Really quick, can somebody make me a shirt for my senior that's graduating next week?" Or can somebody make me a hat for my senior that's graduating? Or we got a guy's trip coming up next weekend. Who can make a hat? So they're usually last minute. And so being able to print a DTF transfer in house is a big deal. And it allows you to say yes to an order that you may not have been able to say yes to previously. When I was still outsourcing my DTF prints, I would have to give myself a few days flexibility. So I needed to give my printer enough time to print the order, myself enough time to get over to the town next to me and pick it up and come back and even order the apparel. Most of the time, apparel still is going to take a couple of days, but I try to keep a few items on hand just in case, my best selling items. But often I can get something next day. So I wanted to be able to at least next day turnaround. And that's not always feasible when you're ordering the transfers or when you're setting up prints like this. So when I got to burn a screen, I got to expose it. I got to, that's a significant turnaround time that already is going to make delivering on these fast turn, last minute orders very difficult. So when you combine the size of these orders and the last minute nature of these orders, that's a problem for screen printing. And that can be, if I'm going to try and print this, if I'm just getting started in screen printing, often you might think, well, I need to say yes to this because I need the money. And that can present some pressure and cut into your margin. It's going to take you a long time. So we see now that DTF really presents a possibility here that screen printing doesn't always present, and especially if you can print the DTF stuff in-house. We're going to look at the software Xtool Studio itself. We're going to actually print something tonight, and I'm going to show you the finished product. I printed one earlier, but I'm going to print the same thing and show you what this looks like as an idea of a print. But before we get to that, I don't want to get too deep into this before we do a giveaway. So we got 3 giveaways tonight. We're going to give away $100 gift cards all 3 times. And so I just got to ask you a question, and I want you to post your answer in the chat. They're going to select a winner here. And so we're going to go ahead and jump into our first $100 giveaway. So the question is, what seasonal holiday is your favorite? So, and maybe not the big ones, not the Christmas and Thanksgiving here in the U.S., but maybe so. But what is your favorite seasonal holiday? And maybe put why. So go ahead and post that in the comments, and then we'll choose a winner in the comments for this first gift card. And then we'll pause here in a little bit more and do another one, and then we'll do one more towards the end. So go ahead and start putting those in the comments. Halloween's the first one. Christmas, all of them. All right. 4th of July, Christmas. Okay, no surprise there. Christmas is a big one. Easter. All right, Easter's a great one. 4th of July. So we obviously have some US folks in the house. We got a lot of 4th of July's coming through here. Grad season in the school system. Okay, that makes sense. Mother's Day. Okay, so we're getting a little bit of everything here, which is great. Easter, love watching the kids search for eagles. Was it maybe Easter eggs? St. Patrick's Day. All right, I wondered if one of those would come in. St. Patrick's Day is coming up. It will be on the calendar ahead of some of these others. So, all right, very good. So we'll let the fine folks at Xtool choose that winner there. So they'll let you know who is who's grabbing that first gift card. All right. So one thing I want to say as we move into kind of another section here is I don't want to just have this let's rain on the parade for screen printing. Like, I'm still a passionate screen printer, and screen printer still has its place. If you've seen any of my videos, I did a video recently. I think I posted it in December, talking about whether DTF was replacing screen printing, and it's not. I see it as a wonderful enhancement to a screen print shop, an additional tool to be able to say yes to orders that screen printing wouldn't normally be able to say yes to. The keys here with the Apparel Printer itself that I love so much are that the setup is super easy. This design that we're going to look at, I opened up ChatGPT. I told it what I would like to do, the type of design I was trying to create, what I was wanting to create it for. It spit back some ideas, kind of looked through them, went back and forth a little bit and said, hey, this design idea, I like the way we're going here. Let's maybe add this or that. And then I ended up with like sort of a creative brief, that was like a design that contains these aspects. And then I said, okay, now create the design. So let's see a mock-up. And I went with the second thing I went with the first thing it created. No, I went with the second. I did make one adjustment because I wanted to put my shop name in there, as you'll see. Over the second adjustment, I downloaded it, pulled it into Photoshop, took the background out of it. In fact, I had ChatGPT put it on a white background to make that easy, but took that white background out. I could have very easily done that in the Xtool software as well, just to remove background. And then I printed it. I actually went in a little after that, after I printed the first sample, and I ran it through something called Action Steps, which is a Photoshop plugin that allows you to convert things to halftones and do some separations. And it's got a DTF version. And so I converted it with Action Steps, spent about 3 or 4 minutes doing that. And then I printed the shirt. Or I printed the film, and then I made the shirt, and I could very easily sell this shirt for $25 to $30 to a customer just off the street. So it's the start to finish is just extremely easy and low barrier to entry, really low cost. The cost of this design we're going to look at was about 75 cents. So compare that to what it would take to actually purchase. If I had purchased this from even my vendor that I normally would get transfers from, this would have cost me The size of this, I might have been able to get this for about $6 or $7. It might have cost more like 10 or 11, depending on how the size. So it really works really well to go AI, then straight to the print. Yeah, ChatGPT can make it transparent too. There's a lot you can do there. So it really opens up a lot of possibilities so that we're talking about last minute stuff here. Customer calls you, says, I want to do a 4th of July design and today's July 2nd. Can you help me? I don't have the design, but I know what I want it to say and I know what I want it to look like. You take that, you throw it in the chat GPT. Maybe you charge them to do the design too. And then you charge them to print the shirt. I mean, I've done that many times. I've charged upwards to $75 to $100 to create a design that I created in chat GPT. And so there's a lot of intellectual value that you can get there. The design is something you've created that has value. You should charge for that. And so, utilize ChatGPT to do that. So without further ado here, let's go ahead and jump into see which. Yep. All right. So Independence Day. There was a lot of favorites here. I've got Xtool Studio pulled up. You all can see. Let's see. Let me pull. See if I can make this a little bit bigger for you. There we go. Okay. So let me get over to Xtool Studio. Got the artwork in here. Obviously I can change the size of this. I can zoom out so that I can see it. Let's talk about Xtool Studio for a couple of minutes. It's really easy to use. I'm honestly you just drag and drop the artwork into here. You can rotate it. You can crop down. You can chat with AI here to do some editing to the file itself. You can create artwork with it. There's a lot of things you can do with this software that's really great, but I want to key in on some of the setup things that I've done. You've got these gray bars over here on the sides. These are kind of the edges. This is kind of the max print area, right? So it identifies if you've got this overlapping here, then that's too big. You're not going to be able to print that. It's over those gray bars. One of the gray bars is actually the print color bar. And the machine prints a color bar, and that keeps the colored ink cartridges. It really keeps all the ink cartridges, ink print heads, flowing throughout the print. Because when this thing starts printing and you've got that heater down below, things start to heat up. That's when ink starts to kind of dry and get tacky and clog. And so you've got an option over here to turn the color bands off. You can set none or left, right, or both sides. I highly recommend you don't select none. It's important to at least leave one side because that keeps that ink flowing even if it's not being used in the design. So that's the first thing I wanted to point out. The other thing I want to point out is I made my background here. Where's it at here? Go into right here. If you right click on the background, light or dark canvas, that's hard to look at for me. So I don't like to see that view. So if you're using this, I like the dark canvas, especially if I'm printing on a dark shirt. But it allows you to see it a little better. So let's zoom into this design here. You can see kind of the detail in this. We can see that it's been half toned. So we've got all these little circles. It's creating all the prints. So let's zoom back out. And then let's look from a business perspective here. Let's go ahead and go to print. Actually, let me back out and connect to my printer here. Okay. Let's look at these settings first, actually. So we've got some settings over here. I've got them set on user defined. By default, these normally come like standard. I like to print on the Ultra. I want some good, I don't want any color banding. And so I'm going to keep this on super. Sometimes you can get by with 100. If you're just doing, like white, you probably can get by with 50 or 75. I like the super. My reduction size, this is the white base that goes underneath on a dark shirt. So that red, in order to show up, and the gold and the cream needs a white base underneath it. Otherwise, that dark shirt is going to really affect that. And so you need that white underbase, but you don't want that peeking out from the edges. So you want it to be a little less than the actual print itself. I've got mine, I usually keep it on 0.15 millimeters. Sometimes I'll go up to 0.2. I very rarely go below that 0.15 though. So I like to keep on that setting. It works out really well for me. Color ink, if you got colors in your designs, you probably want to keep this 100. White ink, I've got this dialed back a little bit. It's a big design. I don't really need a lot of white, so I've kind of dialed it back. I don't want to risk it, creeping out around the edges. I don't want a very thick print, so the less ink that you put down, the thinner the print. One of the biggest complaints about DTF is the prints are thick and plastic, and or that's what everybody's afraid of. It's not been my experience, especially with these prints off the Apparel Printer. But I did this particular design at 75%, and then now we can go ahead and go to print. And again, from a business perspective here, it's generating a preview. Let's calculate the pricing just so you can see. So this is going to tell us how much does this print cost us? And so you can then price it accordingly. Now, I price these things pretty high. I do not shy away from what I price on transfer. So I would probably charge for this particular print. It's pretty big. I would probably charge somewhere in the $14 to $15 just for the print, not for the shirt. Then you got, you throw in a $7 tri-blend shirt or a, $13 or $14 hoodie, plus the $13 or $14 print. You got a $28 to $30 product here that you can make some significant revenue and profit off of. And so once this calculates here, I can 73 cents, I believe is what it was whenever I looked. With a big print, it takes a little longer. It's trying to kind of calculate everything that's there. There we go. Okay, so a little more, 81 cents. I mean, if I charged $14 for this, that means I'm making $13 and 18 cents, 19 cents. So, I mean, that's pretty great profit margins right there. So let's go ahead, and I like to upload before the print. That's if you're connecting wirelessly, I like to do that. That way, if anything times out, it doesn't stop mid-print if the file transfer doesn't go successfully. So I like the upload. Its task is created here. Now it's going to show me the progress. So we're checking here. We'll check back in on that in a minute, and we'll see how the progress is going. It's going to tell us here as it goes. And then I'll switch to the live view of the printer itself, and we'll take a look at what it looks like once the machine actually is running. So let me turn that off and get back over the shirt. Okay, so that was blurry. Was that blurry the whole time? Hopefully not. Okay, while that's transferring, I think we can go ahead and do another giveaway. So let's do that. Let me get my other question here. This question, you can answer this one of two ways. Why did you get into printing DTF, or why do you want to, or what's keeping you from it? So like maybe you're already printing and using DTF and you love it. What do you love so much about it? Or maybe you've been hesitant and you're holding out. What's keeping you from actually going all in and giving DTF a shot? So I'd love to know both of those. And I'm really going to keep an eye on these because I'm curious to hear what everybody's saying. And yeah, apologies on the blurry there. I'm not sure why it would be blurry. Okay, Michael Cost. So keep it within community. Got into it for fuller color printing. Expanding marketing business. Okay. Just now learning about it. Okay, awesome, Jamie. Wife and I wanted to build a business together. Okay. To Jennifer, I'd love to do it. I spent all my money on the laser machine. Okay, well, start making a bunch of money with that laser machine, and then you can get into the DTF machine. Okay, this is a big one. Holding off due to perceived maintenance issues. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. Doing laser engraving. Stay home doing what I enjoy. Love it. That I'm too ADHD to keep up with the prints and my machine will ruin. Okay, awesome. So those are great. I'll let the folks at Xtool jump back in and get that. Oh, get the right one here. Okay. Very good. Let me try to actually share the Xtool window here. And see if I can make this any bigger. Is that any better? Is that less blurry? Let me know in the chat, somebody, if that looks any better now. Okay, perfect. So then let me go back through some of those points then and point out the things. Now that we see this transferring, we can walk through it again. So here's the design again, and if I zoom in, we can see the little halftone dots. So you'll be able to see how this looks. The right click on the canvas itself is where I was showing choosing the light or dark canvas. Okay. And then over here on the right is where we were doing all those selections. So I almost every time print with Ultra. Obviously, this is a higher resolution. It's using more ink, but I think it's worth it. And listen, I use this thing a lot, and I get I think I've filled up the white. I've used 3 bottles of white. I could probably put my 4th bottle in now. This is since November, really. I have only used the 1 bottles of each of the colors: cyan, yellow, magenta, and black. And those are just like that below the full, like barely going. And I've used maybe 2 bottles of moisturizing liquid, maybe 3. That's the stuff that kind of keeps it going. It keeps it clean, the maintenance stuff. So, and I've changed the roll. I've gone through 1 and maybe 3/4 of a roll of the film. So, I mean, it does not blow through the stuff. And I've printed a lot. Like I said, I've printed stuff for, my business stuff, a lot of personal stuff, and printing all the time. And it doesn't blow through the supplies. So all that to say, I keep this on the Ultra. I keep the feather on the either 100 or super, depending on what you're printing. You can kind of mess with that. This is the white ink reduction size area here that I usually keep 0.15. And then, like I said, the 70, how much white ink you're putting down to determine the thin or thickness of the print. Let's check this one and see. All right, it's still sending 16%. So we'll check back in on that in a minute and see how it's doing. But we're at the top of the hour, so let's do this. Let's take some questions. So what questions do you have about the machine itself, or about printing for these holiday areas, seasonal holidays, or taking orders, or anything. There was a mention of the machine for maintenance. You're worried about maintenance issues. Let me tell you some stories. In my experience so far, I left the machine at Christmas time. We went to Tennessee. I left it, obviously left it on. It runs its self maintenance. I emptied out the waste ink container that it runs through as it's maintaining itself. I emptied that out. I made sure that my moisturizer tank was full, and I made sure that um, my humidifier was full. And I had someone come over and check the humidifier every day just to make sure it didn't run out of water and fill it back up if they need to. I was gone from the time I stopped printing a couple of days before we left to the time I started printing again a couple of days before we got back was about 13 or 14 days. I forget which one it was. So 2 weeks here. And I turned the machine on. It ran its clean cycle. I did a test print, needed to clean a little bit more. So I ran one deep clean cycle, did a test print after that. Wonderful. Immediately printed a customer order right after that. So 2 weeks, and it was good to go. So, all right, let me back up on some of the questions here. Let's see if I can get to the first one here. How long in advance do you plan to sell for the holidays? That's kind of going to depend on your audience and your business. If it's a significant part of your business, then I would recommend you plan to start your promotions a month ahead of any given holiday. And you do outreach to remind people that holidays are coming. So you need to be planning well in advance, and you need to be encouraging people to get those things going quickly. So I think some of that really, again, is going to depend on your audience. Like I got a lot of retail brands that print as Black Friday approaches. And so I'll reach out to them in August or September and we start talking about Black Friday plans. Same thing with the summers coming up and they start to change over from hoodies to t-shirts in their retail stuff. And so we'll start to talk about the t-shirt items late February, early March, getting ready for April, May. So a little bit shorter turnaround there. How fast sending a file end to end? So it depends on the size of the file itself. This one's a pretty big file because there's, it's that halftones. It's just a big piece of artwork. So it's taking significantly more than a normal print. Small one was not going to take very long at all. When I looked at that cost thing there, it looked like this one was going to, I forget what the figure said, but I think it was around 7 or 8 minutes from print to cure, I believe. So not too long. I mean, you can go do something else and come back and it's done. Tonight, I was printing some stuff tonight before we got on here. I set some stuff to print and I went and grabbed a pizza and came back and ate my pizza and it was done. So I heat pressed a couple of shirts. Can you halftone in the Xtool software or do you need different software to halftone in? You'll need different software as far as I know. I've not used the Xtool Studio to do that because I don't think it can. So that might be something you want to confirm with the Xtool team, but my recommendation would be to use something externally. So like I said, I've got the Action Steps software that I use. It's just Photoshop Actions, and it works really well. And so I highly recommend it. I keep a list of all the tools that I use in my business, from software, business software, invoicing, bookkeeping, banking, to the press and any of the tools that I use in my business. I keep a list of all of those of things that I use or have used, and I can verify that these are high quality and worth using. And that's at screenprintingtoolbox.com. And so if you're just curious about anything that I use, including that Action Steps software, you can find the links at screenprintingtoolbox.com. So feel free to check there. Let's see where we're at. What materials can you transfer DTF to? I am the type of person that doesn't like when people tell me I can't do something. So I always tell people, I don't know, try it. But the key is it needs to be porous. It needs to have something that the adhesive and the inks can grab onto. So a piece of wood, great. You can put a DTF transfer onto a piece of wood. Cardboard. A lot of people will brand their cardboard boxes or gift boxes or gift bags, um, and put a DTF print on there. Works great. Um, so paper. The only things that I've struggled to get a DTF print to, it adheres to it fine, but it doesn't hold long term, depending on the wear and tear of the item. And that is nylon, pure nylon. So an example, my daughter shows horses. We did nylon, like horse blankets. And so we put the name of the horse on the front, and that gets beaten up. I mean, it's in a horse stall, it's rubbing against the wall, they're folding them, throwing them, gets beat up, and it didn't hold well. Now, the print itself, like, stayed great. It's just it started to kind of break away. Um, that was with actually a different DTF transfer. It wasn't ones that I've printed off the Xtool one. But in general, nylon is usually a little bit troublesome. It's that way with printing as well. But anything else, I have had great experience with. So I've done, any kind of apparel materials, polyester, dry fits are really great for it. They work out really well. So yeah, a lot of stuff. Love to do hats. Talk about humidity and where you're located. Tom, I am in Colorado, so humidity does not exist here. I'm from Southeast Tennessee, where humidity is just burdensome. But yeah, so my humidity is really low in the room, the office that the printer is in upstairs. The humidity in that room, if I don't have the humidifier running, the humidity will run somewhere in the 25 to 30% range, and it's near the front door. So every time that front door opens, it's dropping like crazy. So when that outside, any humidity that's in the house from the AC or something, just gets sucked out. And it, even right now, when the heat turns on, heat in a home is going to suck out humidity as well. So it drops really quickly. I run the humidifier, which, if you want to know, I've found a great humidifier. Go.startupscreenprinting.com/xtool. Will You'll have there's a link at the bottom to the dehumidifier I use, and I love it. It's a it doesn't do the steam. It's just a fan coming off of a wick, and I refill it once a day, once every other day, and I keep it at about 40% humidity. So it will kind of adjust its speed automatically to try and maintain between 40 and 45% relative humidity. The machine itself will give you a warning if you drop below like 30%. And if you print a long time, like I printed for 45 minutes here recently, and by the time I'm finished that 45 minutes of printing, the humidity is dropping quite substantially. So kind of good to give it a break for a little bit, let your room kind of catch up, let the machine cool off a little bit, or stop and do a clean of the print heads. So stop for a few minutes, but I like to let that humidifier kind of catch up and maintain the relative humidity in the area. So yeah, low humidity area, and still let it sit for 2 weeks. And there were some days in there where my buddy wasn't able to get down here, and the humidifier was off for 6 or 7 hours. So all that to say, the self maintenance of the machine, I've been very impressed with so far. Yeah, see, there's some agreement for Kane's World. Same here. It basically cleans itself. It does. How durable are the prints that hold up to washing? So far, I think they're very durable. Um, some of that is not necessarily the print itself, but it's the settings that you choose for the print. So what I mean is, if you choose like a low amount of ink and you're going for a super thin print, but you're printing on like maybe a fleece hoodie that's super stretchy and the fibers are really spaced, and you can really pull that thing apart, that's going to crack the print. I mean, they're not going to stretch that far, and especially because you have a really thin print, there's not much to it. So that's not necessarily unique to the Xtool Apparel Printer or any other, a Big Mamaki press or something. That's just how much ink you're putting down. And that's the same with screen printing as well. I do water-based printing, and if I put down a lot of ink, it's going to withstand that stretching more. A little bit of ink, of course, water-based, it soaks in the fiber, so it can stretch more than a plastisol print. But so if you choose the like 100% white and 100% colors, and you're really laying it on thick, it's going to be a little better on those more durable, more stretchy, like a hoodie, like I've got here. So it kind of just depends on the garment you're using and the amount of ink you're throwing down. But overall, the durability from what I've seen with the prints that are coming off the apparel printer versus the prints that I was getting outsourced that were coming off of a Mamaki industrial printer, um, I see no difference. So from a durability standpoint, I've they are every bit as durable as the high end Mamakis from my experience. Thank you, Karina. It actually only shows the print time. Another 5 minutes for curing. Couldn't remember. It will show you a progression of it printing, and then it will show you what percentage of the heating when it gets through the heating and the curing process. So you can actually follow it the whole way. But yeah, that initial time, Karina, thank you. That initial time is for the print itself. We're about halfway on the transfer now. Big transfer, and I'm streaming live here, so it's not going quickly. This is a good one. They package it with the AP2 filter. Is the smell with the printer compared to a laser burning wood? I don't know what the laser burning wood would smell like. I mean, I know what burning wood. I'm a woodworker, so I know what that burning wood smell is going to be. But it does have a smell, and if you don't get the purifier, you're going to notice the smell. It's not overbearing, and it's not all the time. It's just really while it's heating. But there are some fans in the heater, and so that air is getting blown out unless you've got that filter, that filtration system that's sucking it in. But I will say it is a significant difference. It went from, yeah, you can smell that and the room kind of stinks for 15 minutes, to you can't smell it at all and have no idea that anything happened in there when I run the purifier. So highly recommend, if you can swing the purifier, highly recommend it. Textured materials, I've tried canvas tote bags. Again, worked great. I use a silicone cover sheet I do a second press, and I really press that ink and the print down into the fibers so that you can see the texture. So it worked really well on those canvas bags. Basketball DTF trend. Okay, so you're doing it on basketballs. That's super cool. Jackie, when you're printing and you do about 20 prints, you start to get lines. I have perfect prints when I start. So is there a limit how many prints you can do? Do you need to stop to do a cleaning? Again, that thing's heating up, and those print heads, they're going to start to clog. This is why, those color bars are so important. You can try to run color bars on both sides and see if that helps. But my recommendation, if you're not in a rush and you have the time, my recommendation is to print for maybe 20 to 30 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, and then give it a break and let that heater kind of get all its exhaust out and cool off for a little bit, and come back to it and print again later. That's been the best experience for me. I have kept going where I just stopped long enough to do a deep cleaning, and then I kept going. But that second run, you can't go the full 20 minutes, and that you probably need to do like 10 or 15 because the machine's already hot. So those print heads are going to clog up a little bit faster. So yeah, that machine's just getting hot and it's just clogging the print heads. So you need to do that cleaning or let it rest for a little bit. The texture of the print from screen print and image, that depends on the type of screen printing. So I do water-based printing, so it soaks into the fibers. So it's just the material, the texture of the shirt. Plastisol screen printing is not going to soak in, so it's going to be more plasticky. And since we're not going to be able to see the printer, we're running low on time. Let me just show you guys how this thing turned out. So this is the print. And let's see if I can get super close here to see without getting blurry. There we go. So like you can probably see maybe see some of the texturing of the shirt fibers. I don't know, but that's the print. I think it turned out great. And you know, this is on a heavyweight 100% cotton t-shirt. This particular shirt is a soft shirts brand, very comparable to like an AS Color shirt. But you know, this print, because it's half toned, you know, it's got some texture, some breathability to it. It's very flexible. It's going to be a comfortable thing to wear on a t-shirt. Always try to make sure I'm knowing what kind of garment I'm printing on, whether it's going to be comfortable to wear. But you know, this one turned out really great. And I hate that we're not going to be able to see the printer go, but we might get to see it before I can show you. It's working. It's sitting there ready to go. But once it pops up, maybe we'll see it. Another low humidity area, no issues. That's great. Michael, the website for the tools, I think is what you might be asking for, screenprintingtoolbox.com. My website is startupscreenprinting.com, so you can get access to my email newsletter that I send weekly. It's got a lot of business tips. I share, you know, good articles from around the industry and news, and I do some tool spotlights there. So definitely join my newsletter to keep up with that stuff. But yeah, screenprintingtoolbox.com is probably what you're. Okay, before we run out of time, let's do our final giveaway. We got while we're waiting on this machine to go, and hopefully it'll go. So let's go ahead and do this last giveaway here. And let me pull up my favorite question to ask apparel decorators. What's your go-to apparel brand? You know, are you a Bella Canvas? Are you AS Color, Soft Shirts, Sport Tech, Next Level, Gildan, Comfort Colors? What's your go-to? What's your favorite apparel to print on or favorite t-shirt to wear? Let's hear that in the comments of what your go-to is. And then we'll give away this last t-shirt or last gift card, and then I'll take some. Okay, we do have a Gildan fan. All right. Okay. Next Level. Yeah, another Gildan. Bella Canvas. Bella Canvas is my most popular. I print more of it than anything else. Costco. Okay. All right. Yeah. I have some Orvis items that I've gotten from Costco that I do love. Horton Company making an appearance here. Okay. Gildan soft shirts. All right. Or soft style, I mean. Comfort Colors have the best colors and best feel. Gildan for last minute. Yep. And of course, Comfort Colors is owned by Gildan. Gildan soft style. Yep. No brand preference. All right. That's okay. This particular hoodie I have on is my current favorite. It's a Sport Tech French Terry. So it is my current favorite. Highly recommended if you're looking for a good, especially a good year-round kind of thin, breathable hoodie. I wear these every day. Whatever the customer is willing to pay for. I hear you, Katie. Anything that's comfortable. It sounds like my kid. He's like, I want something comfortable. All right, very good. So Xtool folks, take it away and choose that winner. Let me see if there's any other questions. If I missed any, Let me know. Yeah, Tom, I do see your reference here. USB helps when live streaming. That would be great, but I have to have like a 40-foot USB cord to run upstairs into the office. So, uh, Umar Action Steps doesn't work well with Affinity. Yeah, it's a Photoshop plugin, so it's not going to work well with Affinity software suite. Heat press, I have a Stahl's Hotronix Fusion 3 or Fusion IQ. So it's a 16-inch platen, I think. It's 15 or 16, I forget. But yeah, Fusion IQ, and then I've got my hat press. You can kind of see it over here. I've got the I never know where my finger's at here. There we go. The Fusion 360 IQ for hats. So yeah, a lot of kudos for the print. Thank you. I mean, y'all, I'm really impressed. I mean, this would have been, this is a intricate design to screen print. Very doable, only a few colors, which is nice, but man, to be able to throw that out, something like that to somebody who doesn't want to get 100 items, it's hard to beat that. And to have the printer here at my house and be able to print and move on and go downstairs and print a shirt, I mean, you can't beat. My profit margin has skyrocketed. Um, all right. Any other questions that I'm missing? Let's go back down to the bottom. What is your heat press temps with your heat press? So Xtool does have specs that you should look at for their prints that they recommend. I'll be honest, I stay pretty consistently around 285. So I will only decrease that if I'm doing like a really like a red polyester, like a dry fit, something that's going to have a lot of color shifting or something. But I do a 285 for 10 seconds. I usually kind of like shake the shirt for a couple of seconds to cool it, just for probably 3 or 4 seconds. And then I rip that thing off. And then I do a second press with the texture sheet over top for another 10 seconds, also at 285. If I'm doing like a polyester that's having some color shifting, sometimes I'll drop it down to maybe 275 and print and press for like 20 seconds. So I'll extend that out. But again, so far been running at that 285 mark because I find that minimizes my risk of burning and color shifting on most items. Even if the item changes color a little bit, usually that's because the humidity is gone. And so once you throw it in the wash, it kind of comes back. But that's my process. How often are you brushing the powder area? Probably not as often as I should, because I think I've done it once in 3 months. So yeah, not much. And I have not refilled the powder since the first time I filled it up. I'm telling you, this stuff lasts a long time, and I have not. It's not like I'm running just one print a month here. Like that, my shop had a record year last year and has started off record year so far this year. So it really lasts a long time and low cost for supplies. I mean, you can make some real money off of this thing pretty quickly. Like if you were to, invest in this machine and maybe payment plans or something and wonder how long you can get your money back. If you're actively selling and you're really pushing to try and build a business, I think it can pay for itself. I mean, probably in a month or two, pretty quickly. So, I mean, it just depends on how heavily you're pushing and what your audience is like. But man, you can make some real money off of DTF stuff because you can charge a lot more for individual items. Because that brings in another thing that I talk to a lot of my followers in my communities at the Print Crew and the Screen Print Collective. We talk about like when you're doing a DTF print for somebody, they're buying, like they're going to go to Walmart and buy a t-shirt for $35 or for $30 or even $25. It makes sense for you to charge 35 or 40 for a fully customized t-shirt. It doesn't really matter what it costs you. It doesn't matter that it only cost me 81 cents to do this print. What matters is they get a really nice shirt. I mean, this shirt I think costs like $5 blank, maybe $6. And the print cost me 81 cents. And again, I could very easily sell this for 25 or 30 bucks to a customer and, you know, have less than $10 in it and make 20 or $25. So you can pay for this thing within a month or two. Honestly, if you're really trying to, you really want to build a business, no sweat. I mean, DTF stuff has been phenomenal. Yeah, there we go. Mine paid off in 3 months. Love the convenience. Without having to wait a couple days to get my transfers. Exactly. That was my big deal, is waiting for those things to arrive. Do the transfers affect UV protection of the fabric? That's a good question. That's more of a question for the fabric producer and not a risk of the DTF transfer itself. That's a risk of the heat. So sometimes you'll get like the Marmot or North Face, waterproof jackets. Sometimes a heat press, like getting to that high of a heat, will deteriorate the waterproofing. So it may not be that the DTF itself is causing the issue. It's that the heat might cause an issue with that UV protection. So it's something you definitely want to check with the vendor. A lot of times you look on places like SNS Activewear or Sanmar, and they'll actually say the decoration capabilities down there, and they'll identify whether something can be heat pressed or not. And if it's got UV protection and it can be heat pressed, you got no problem. No worries, no concerns. I wouldn't worry about it. You're going to be good to go. So, but that would be something to ask about the material itself as to whether it's affected that way. Kane's World made $600 their first day printing with this machine. Love it. That's phenomenal. So love hearing all this. Okay, before we run out of time, I just want to say thank you all. Thank you for your questions. Thanks for bearing with me and listening to me for a little while. Thank you, Xtool, for giving me a chance to do this. Again, second time doing these webinars for you guys. And I just love it. And so, just thank you. If you, again, to find me, you can always find me at startupscreenprinting.com. My toolbox that I mentioned was screenprintingtoolbox.com. I run 2 communities, one with another maker called Pigskins and Pigtails. That's her thing, Jennifer Sanderson. I started a community and asked her to join it with me called Screen Print Collective. But any kind of apparel decoration, really, you're welcome there. And then I have a Discord community called The Print Crew. So screenprintcollective.com, theprintcrew.com. Any of those, you can find more information about me. And if you join my newsletter, you'll get an email from me that thanks you and tells you what to expect. If you reply to that, it comes to my inbox. So if your question is, how do I get a hold of you? That's how you get a hold of me. Sign up for the newsletter, reply to that welcome email, and I'll respond back to you. I have the things I talked about tonight, kept in a file that I can always reference if you missed something, or if you have questions about anything, always happy to answer. So reach out anytime, message me on Instagram, or subscribe to the YouTube channel, reach out, email, however I can help. I'm here to support the industry however I can. And so looking forward to more of that. So 2 more minutes. Any last rapid fire question? Let's see. Engraving on precious metals. I can't answer that one. I've never used any engravers. Hey, Nikki, you joined live. It's not about screen printing. This is about the apparel printer, the DTF apparel printer. So rewind or watch the live again after it's recorded. But we talked about this print here. And so a lot of good information about DTF and the Xtool apparel printer. Okay, we'll cut it off there. Thank you all again. Let's check the status of this one more time here. Nope, 77%. So next time we'll take a look at the printer actually printing. But you got a little peek into the process there. So hopefully that was helpful for you. The humidifier name is a Dreo. Again, I have the link to it. Go www.startupscreenprinting.com/Xtool. There's a link down at the bottom that's the humidifier I use. It's also on the screenprintingtoolbox.com. So can't find it. Like I said, respond to my emails. I'll let you know which one it is. All right, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Friday the 13th. I hope you have a wonderful rest of February and a wonderful weekend. And until next time, good luck printing. And if you don't have the Apparel Printer, be sure you take advantage of the sales and grab one. You will not be disappointed.